Welcome to Hello Health, a show where we have conversations about healthy living. I am your host, Keryn Was, and I'm so glad you joined us tonight. It is cold. I'm just going to go out right there and say it. It's January. It's cold. Here we are in the throes of winter. But we can always look for glimmers of hope to get us through. Maybe some of you are winter lovers. And if that's the case, then enjoy. I am a summer girl, so the next few months can be challenging for me. But having fun projects and being able to connect with people like yourself makes me happy and gets me through these cold, dark months. So here we are. We have a great show lined up. I got to sit down and talk with a fellow functional medicine health coach, Suzuko Hisata. We actually recorded this before Christmas. We got to sit down and chat, and she had some interesting insights to talk about women's societal roles and coaching through the pressures that we as women can sometimes face. So very interesting conversation we had. Can't wait to share that with you. First, let's continue our conversation on the 24 character strengths. If you're just tuning in, we've been talking about these character strengths for the past couple months. It comes from the VIA survey, which is a free survey that you can take. It takes about 10 to 15 minutes online to fill it out and asks you a few different questions. And you just answer them as honestly and best as you can. And the philosophy is that we have these 24 character strengths. We all have them within us, and some of them shine brighter than others. So as we're having our conversation about these character strengths, I'm referencing this great book, Character Strengths Matter: How to Live a Full Life. Knowing what your character strengths are can be helpful for communication with your family, friends, coworkers. And it's also helpful to know what other people's character strengths are that you interact with. Fascinating stuff. So let's dive in. The next two we're going to talk about today are leadership and love and to be loved. So let's start with leadership, which is in my top 5. The top 5 that come up on your survey are the ones that shine the brightest. Here are some tips on leadership, how to build leadership. Stand up for someone who's being treated unfairly. Encourage other leaders to emphasize fairness in their group processes. I think this is really important. I've done some leadership courses like through high school and college, and we spend a lot of time focusing on the different types of leaders that there are. And there are different, I don't know how many there are. There's probably a number out there. But there's different leadership styles and different, personalities. So what I think is really important is to be the type of leader that can hear all sides, hear perspectives of all sides, and being able to encourage communication between people, especially if they're in disagreement about something. This can be very helpful in the workplace, of course, in families, just being empathetic and opening those channels of communication and being the leader to kind of facilitate the communication. So standing up for someone could be in person. It could be online. I see a lot of posts these days on Facebook and Instagram and other things that arguments start, but it's like, hey, so-and-so has a good point. Let's just listen to what they have to say rather than shoot them down, automatically. Keeping an open mind. I think that's probably a really good attribute for a leader, is to have a very open mind, to hear all sides of the story. And that kind of goes along with the next one. When two people are in an argument, mediate by inviting others to share their thoughts and emphasizing problem solving. Set a respectful, open-minded tone for the discussion. Important stuff, especially nowadays where there's a lot of arguments happening in person, on social media, within families. I think it's important to keep those lines of communication open. Can't emphasize that enough. And the next one is an interesting one. Love and to be loved. And this can be interesting for people to see how it pops up on their survey. For me, it actually, I feel like I'm a very loving and, accepting person. But for me, it was kind of in the middle. It wasn't as high as I thought it might be. And because we can look at love and to be loved in different ways. So some people might be really great at expressing love or affection, but not great at accepting it back. So this goes hand in hand. It's to be able to love, but also to be able to accept that love easily. And that can get into some like really juicy stuff when you start thinking about your life and how you express yourself with loved ones and what your interactions are. So here are a couple tips. Express your love creatively, such as through a poem, note, or sketch. Consider taking a photograph of an important place, event, or situation that reminds you of your mutual love. And that could go with a partner or a friend or your children. Maybe there's a special place, a vacation spot, maybe on the Cape or like a special beach, and you have a picture of that and you put that on the refrigerator so everyone remembers, like, oh man, remember when we had that time together? It felt so good. Or writing a note, even if you don't give it to the person that you're writing it to, just to be able to express your feelings, to write it down on paper. Or if you're really artistic, a poem or a sketch. This is a really good one. Engage in a favorite activity together, such as hiking, going to an amusement park, biking, walk in the park, swimming, camping, or jogging. If you can't think of a mutual activity, pick one to try together. And that's, I think, really good for families as well, to take that time away from the house, away from the humdrum, away from the distractions, the laundry, what you're going to make for dinner, all that stuff that goes on when you're in your house, but to go outside of that environment and to have a family activity where all you're focusing on is each other. And I think that's really important in romantic partnerships as well. Especially when you live together and you see each other every day and it's the same routine, it's good to get outside of that and to just focus on your love and how you appreciate each other and how you enjoy doing things together, activities together. It's so powerful. And I think a lot of us overlook that because we're busy and life is life, and things cost money or whatever. We can think of a million excuses, but there are options out there. Not everything is expensive. Not everything costs money. It's time. And time is a really hard thing to give up and to schedule in. So I encourage you, as we're entering in to February, we just a month away is Valentine's Day. Think about that. How do you love and how do you accept love? Important things in life. So let's move on and talk with Suzuko. Lovely, lovely girl. And I hope you enjoy it and hope if you're interested in learning more that you'll contact her. And she's got some really great information. So I'll see you at the end of the show. I am so happy to introduce our next guest, Suzuko Hisata. She is a functional medicine health coach and training to be a life coach. And she has a very interesting niche. She works with women in their mid-20s to mid-40s, around that area, professional women, who, to help them overcome societal pressure and to find their essential self and to help them live their authentic lives. So cool and so needed in this time of craziness that we're living in. So I'd love to bring on Suzuko to tell us more about this. Hey, Suzuko, how are you?
Good. How are you, Keryn?
Good. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
This is a very interesting topic, and I think a lot of our viewers will definitely relate to some of these issues that we're going to talk about today, and it's just so important, really important work. So first, before we dive into that, let's talk about your story. How did you get to where you are today as a functional medicine health coach in this niche?
Yeah, so probably the tipping point was like 3 years ago. I was working as an industrial designer for 17 years. That point it was 15 years. And I had a normal life. Like from outside, I was just, I had a job. I had my condo in town, and I had friends to hang out with. So it looks fine from outside. But after a breakup, and I really couldn't get up the bed, and emotionally I was really drained. And at that point, looking at my career and stuff, that I was just not happy. Outside, I was fine, but I wasn't. So when that emotional toll hit, I think it was just I was maxed out with it emotionally, physically, mentally. So I started having this rashes on the face, and like my eczema just exploded, and the depression and all that stuff just surfaced on it, and I just couldn't ignore anymore. So I went through the conventional doctor, and they just wanted to mask the symptom, especially the eczema and stuff. They just want to put it like medicine on top of it, right, and they're trying to really mask it. So I just didn't feel right. So when I was dealing with it, I found out the functional medicine and treating the codes that really resonated with me. And I grew up in Japan where health and eating healthy is just culturally embedded, and that was just naturally I just accepted it, like, oh, this is the way to go. So I dove in, and I just realized that my gut health and how that is affecting my emotional health, everything is just the body's system. So at that point I just realized, like, oh my God, I just overwhelmed. And this is not just a breakup, it's just a lot of things that beneath that like face of like I'm fine. And realize that, okay, I have to do something. So that's kind of where my journey started for my well-being.
It's so interesting. I think a lot of health coaches kind of have their own story that brings them to that point. And it's interesting how you're talking about your skin issues and the eczema in particular, and how you feel like it was stress induced. And I think eczema is a very common problem that people have, and it can be caused by so many things, but gut health is definitely a really important one to look at. So that led you to functional medicine. And so were you able to heal yourself from that?
Yeah, like I have the threshold, like I realize like certain food I can eat maybe less, or I went through the whole elimination diet, a lot of supplements, like trying to work with the trauma and all that stuff, and like a stress management. It's really lifestyle medicine, so that really helped me. But I think the most effective thing was having a coach, and it wasn't just health coaching. Like, well, what's health, right? So it was more the well-being that I really got coached. And then that's when I started feeling better, and I started taking charge, and realize how much of the societal pressure and how I should be grateful for what I have, and just suppressing what underneath. That created so much pressure and so much dissatisfaction, and because I was just living for somebody else. So when I was working through with a coach, I noticed those things were the actual root cause for me.
Yeah, so that's so powerful, such a powerful realization that you had there, because I think as women, there is a lot of pressure to just be grateful for what you have. Look, you have a roof over your head, you have a family, you have a husband, you have whatever, you have a job. Be grateful and just hide any other feelings you have, because you could be so much worse.
Exactly.
But it puts a lot of pressure on us, because let's face it, I mean, even though we've come so far, especially in this country, there's still so much pressure on women to put on a face, put on a show, just power through and ignore ourselves, really. So what are you finding with clients? What types of stories?
So I work with a lot of the client, and they do have some like a desire. Oh, I want to lose 15 pounds, or
Sure.
I want to feel good. I want to go back to the weight I had like before the pregnancy, or like I want to have this career advancing. So, but I think a lot of time they don't dig in deep enough of like
Sure.
why they want those things. And then we kind of discussed about it before the call, but that's where the juicy stuff is, the really deep down desire and the deep down who they are. And a lot of time we just kind of disconnected with ourselves, the body and the mind. We almost like think the brain is who we are, and the body is just carrying the brain around.
Yeah.
But actually the body is very smart. So like reconnecting those things and really finding who they are, that's when they start becoming really happy and taking action, and actually started doing things to, improve their health. And the side effect is losing weight.
Sure.
So,
yeah,
that's kind of how,
right?
I've been working with my clients.
That's awesome. So it's like what we were saying before the show, it's like finding your why. What's your motivation? What's your motivation, not what is the outside motivation. What's your doctor telling you, or what do you feel like you should be because of society?
Right.
It's really interesting. So primarily with your clients, are you finding that they're mainly like moms that are trying to find time for themselves, or
well,
what is it like?
Some people are mom, and some people are like middle of like 20s, and that's getting started in a career. And some people are like, oh, I study this, but I'm not feeling it, or like I'm not happy. A lot of time they're like, well, if I change my job, maybe I'll be happy. The expectation of just advancing the career and making money and that becoming the goal, but what do they really want? What they really living for? And those things are kind of suppressed. So yeah, like some clients like a mid to late 20s or early 30s that start thinking about changing their career or starting family. And when women are very into in a career development, it's really hard to put family first, or like put in the other role into welcoming those role into the life. It's very difficult. So I think at those transition time, we do care of the self-care and really creating an environment that you can really tap into your intuition and figure out what they really want to do in the next phase of life.
Yeah. And we talked a little bit about heart math before the show, and heart math is science-based, but what I love about heart math is their recent advancements is that they're proving that intuition really does exist within us. And it's that connection with the heart and the brain, and the coaching helps you to get that connection and to take some quiet time. Isn't it crazy how it's so hard for us to sit still and just like breathe and let our minds be quiet? I think about that a lot. I run a couple businesses. I have, 2 kids, one on the way. I have a husband, I have a house. It's a lot of stuff going on. And I know like that little voice in my head says, just sit and be quiet. we have so much to tell you if you just be quiet. Just sit still.
Right.
And it's hard to do. It's hard because you almost feel guilty. Is that something that you find with the women that you coach? There's a factor of guilt there.
Yeah,
It's
definitely.
like I shouldn't take this time for myself because I have other things I have to do.
Right. No, that's very, very common. It's almost everybody has that guilt. So like there's always a chatter in your head from outside and even inside. We are trying to criticize, like be hard on ourselves.
Yeah.
So the chatter, that to stop the chatter, you kind of need to sit in the moment and breathe. Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
The basic, foundation of life is breathing, and we just didn't take a lot of time for that. It's crazy.
No, it's just like it's just happening when we're alive. So we don't notice those things. But if we train to just notice for that second to breathe, especially when we are just going through 100 miles, an hour, trying to get so many things done, and a lot of women are perfectionism, like that really put us on the pressure. So even you're doing, moving, we have this like very harsh word toward ourselves, like why you cannot do better, right?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like a constant, like a self-loathing that like we don't even know that it's happening, and those things was kind of embedded because the expectation how a woman should be is so strong word that we've been hearing since we were little. So I think noticing those things and then recognize that that is actually not the voice that you were born with.
Right.
And those moments of the silence, I think that's when you can actually feel the body, listen to your body, not just the brain, listen to your heart, and really understand who you are. And I think that's just kind of the beginning of self-development and the moving toward your goal that is meaningful to you.
Yeah, that's really, really great. So I guess it sounds like some advice that you're giving for us crazy women that are running around and beating ourselves up is to just take a minute and take a deep breath and try to listen to our hearts. Just, I guess if you can get into the habit of that, just a little bit, right? It helps to move you forward.
I think that's a good starting point.
Yeah,
but
right.
A lot of time we realize that like those expectations are trying to fulfill, and but if it's not who you are, you feel the gap, and you beat yourself up for not be able to reach, or like fill the gap. But when we can just kind of be kind to ourselves and really listen to ourselves, what do you really want? What do I want? Not so much of what other people need, because we tend to put other people first and we put ourselves last. So if we can just take a moment and just ask, what do I want? What do I need?
Yeah.
Allowing
that's really
yourself.
Powerful. Yeah. And we all have our own stories and we all have our own situations. So if you're interested in diving a little bit deeper, definitely reach out to Suzuko. She has her website, Candor Life Coaching. And actually, you have a really great, on your bio page, you have a really great layout of your story, of your background and what brought you into health coaching. And it's really inspiring to read. So definitely check that out and connect with her. She's also on Instagram. We were both talking about how it's hard to navigate these days, all these different social platforms. And but I'm in the same boat. My Instagram is very small right now. But we'll get there, right?
Yeah.
The most important stuff is on the website.
Right. Yeah. But if you could visit and follow me, I appreciate it.
Yeah.
And I would love to grow the community and start, offering more content so we can help each other. So
yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So check it out. And thank you so much for your time. And I appreciate it, Keryn. for
thank you so much
having
for
this
being
platform.
on.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. All right. So again, candorlifecoaching.com to reach out to Suzuko. All right. Thanks, Suzuko.
Thank you.
Hey, thanks for joining me here today for my healthy tips. I got my own segment in this show. Today I'm going to talk really quickly about my favorite oils that I use in my kitchen all of the time. They're very available, super easy to find, and healthy. These are good, gut healthy, awesome oils. The first one is, of course, olive oil. We cannot live without olive oil. We like gallons of the stuff. We usually get extra virgin, organic, cold pressed olive oil, which is a staple. You can drizzle it on top of your salad. You can put it on top of your cooked veggies, just anything to get that healthy fat into your life. So good. The other thing we use is coconut oil. I use this primarily for baking. I also put it in my decaf coffee that I drink because I like it. And it's also really great for cooking at higher heats. But we also use avocado oil. Now, avocado oil is incredible because you can cook it at very high heat. And also it's really neutral in taste. So if you're making a salad dressing where you don't want that really like intense flavor of olive oil, avocado oil is where it's at. And then ghee. So grass-fed is essential. It's better than organic because cows are meant to graze. They're meant to eat grass. Organic corn is still corn. They're not meant to have that. We use this mostly for popcorn. I'm not going to lie. That's what we use ghee for. But you can use it for anything. You can cook your eggs in it, whatever. It's got a beautiful flavor. And then we also really love sunflower seed oil. Now we try and get some, good quality organic, but it's just a beautiful flavor. And those are sort of the oils that we use every day, every week in our kitchen, and they're all amazing for you. There's other options, but these are my faves. Thanks for hanging out with me today.
And that wraps up our show for tonight. Thank you so much for tuning in. As we're moving ahead into 2022, I would love to hear your feedback or any suggestions, topics you might want to hear us discuss here on the show. You can contact us. We are on Facebook at Hello Health Show or YouTube channel Hello Health. And you can contact us in the comment section or direct message through there. Also want to remind you that tomorrow we start our gut reset elimination diet with Sea Change. And this is a group event. It's a 6-week program, virtual program, where you have an opportunity to heal your gut lining for about a month by eliminating problematic foods. And I will coach you and guide you through that to personalize it to your own life and what's doable for you. There are group classes every week, which are not mandatory. And there's also weekly modules that I email out. So you're welcome to join anytime this week. It's seachangewell.com. That's my website. And on Facebook, I'm at seachangewell. You can follow me there, send me a message. If you have any questions or you'd like to sign up and have any problems with that, please let me know. Until then, have a wonderful week and stay warm. And I will see you on the flip side. Bye.